Tell them, this the year I finally grew up and I turned into Jordan. This the year I finally wake up everyone who was snoring. This the year I finally wake up everyone who didn't believe me when y'all was sleeping. I just can't.
So at the beginning of the season, a lot of people were saying that the Warriors were stacked. They have 5 all-stars. They're going to win the title so easily. It's not fair. They ruined the NBA. Well, that's probably obviously true. Lately, they haven't looked too good. I know DeMarcus Cousins isn't back, and they had injury problems and whatnot, and the whole Draymond KD issues, but lately the Warriors just don't look dominant. Like, for a team who's been to the finals 4 years in a row, has all their stars in their prime, you know, you'd expect them to play a lot better than they have been. That's mainly due to the fact that their bench got a lot worse, but a key issue on their team right now isn't even the bench. It's Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Steve Kerr. I'm going to start with Klay specifically because I think personally he's the biggest issue I have with the team going forward. Like right now, Klay's playing like not an all-star at all. He's trying to be a Kobe Bryant type player when they don't need him to be. Instead of just catching and shooting like he normally does, he's starting to shoot one-legged fadeaway jumpers from the baseline. He's creating for himself a lot more. Like, just not what Klay does. And he's missing a lot of threes for that very reason. Everybody's like, Klay's having a slump, Klay's struggling, but I'm like, Klay's not really slumping. He's just trying to do more than he should. He knows it's a contract year this season, and he's trying to prove to the other teams that, hey, I'm better than what everyone thinks I am. I'm not a one-dimensional player. I can do way more than this. So now he's trying to show everyone that, hey, I can create my own shot. I can do all these things. And that's why he's missing shots. He's struggling. He's forcing bad shots. And then he's getting frustrated with himself because he's taking bad shots and they're not going in. And then that's why he's struggling. And yeah, that's why they've lost about 5-6 games they could have won. They should have won the Jazz game that just happened. They should have won the Toronto game in Toronto. They should have beat the Nuggets. They should have beat the Spurs and Dallas. And they lost all those games. And most of those games without Steph, they barely won. Like those Kings games, they barely won those. Klay had to make the game winners for both of those games. His efficiency was terrible in all of them, but they still won, so whatever. I don't know how Klay's gonna fix the season for himself. Like, we're already almost halfway through the season and he's still struggling. I can't see him being an all-star this year personally because frankly there's other guys deserving of his spot, like DeRozan or Holiday. They deserve the spot over Klay right now. Like, I'm hoping maybe if he's not an all-star he can realize that I need to change something because this isn't working. And yeah, that's all I really have to say about Klay. But going forward, the next person who's having a big issue on this team is Draymond Green. Now, the media's really been giving Draymond heat recently. Like, they just been bashing Draymond, saying it's 5-on-4 out there. Draymond can't make shots. They're not going to win the title without Draymond. This and that. Or with Draymond, I should say. And yeah, there's just been a lot of hate coming on Draymond's part, which is warranted because he can't shoot anymore. Shooting 43%, I believe, from the field and 20% from 3. This is the same guy who shot nearly 40% 3 seasons ago when they went 73-9, and he was actually considered a top 10, top 15 player at the time, and now he may not even be an all-star. His defense is kind of taking a hit, and yeah, everyone's kind of seeing that maybe Draymond doesn't deserve a max contract. It's going to be really tough for him to demand that supermax when he can't score. Like, a lot of people are saying that they should trade Draymond or that KD's going to leave because Draymond's just not pulling his weight. Personally, I think that's not really an issue. I think Draymond can figure it out, but like I said before, the season's already almost halfway done. Like, they got to figure this stuff out quick. The 1 seed in the West isn't going to be easy to get anymore if you keep losing games this early. The West is so stacked this year that these losses now are going to matter in the playoffs for seeding in like April and whatnot. So I don't know how Draymond and Klay are going to get their stuff together. I don't know if they're going to get max contracts this summer or extensions or anything. They're probably not going to be all-stars either. That's why I'm not 100% certain if the Warriors are going to win this year. Like, obviously, they're the most stacked team ever. They have 5 all-stars, but if their all-stars aren't playing like all-stars, it's going to be tough. Like, DeMarcus Cousins is going to come back, but he still needs to figure out how to play with his team. And the bench has gotten a lot worse. One of the reasons Klay can't really create for himself that well is because he's forcing shots when he's with the bench unit. No one on the bench can score at a reasonable rate and consistently, so Klay feels like, oh, I have to force every shot, every possession, just so we can score. And I don't understand why that is, but because they lost like JaVale, David West, and some other key guys off the bench, now it's Klay every single time. And he's not catching and shooting anymore, he's trying to create every single time. So yeah, that's why they're struggling. And then there's been some good bench production from Jerebko and McKinney, but like for the most part, those guys have been somewhat inconsistent. Like some nights they'll give you like 3 or 4 threes, other nights they'll give you none. Quinn Cook's been kind of inconsistent too. And then Looney, Jordan Bell, Damian Jones can't really score that well. Those guys are just foul machines. Like, they just foul all the time, biting on pump fakes. Like, they can't shoot threes either. So if Klay's not making threes, it's basically Steph and KD shooting all the threes. And if those aren't going down, they're not going to win games. Jumping from that, the other key issue I have is Steve Kerr. Now, like 5 seasons ago, when Steve Kerr just came in, he really turned this franchise around. Initially, they were really defense heavy, isolation heavy with Mark Jackson. That's why they never really got that far until Kerr came in and brought in the motion offense that got the ball moving more, changed the style, changed the pace of the game. And that's what turned Steph into an MVP and Klay and Draymond into all-stars. But since about the 2016 finals, when Game 7, Steve Kerr played Anderson Varejao and Festus Ezeli in the 4th quarter of the biggest game of the season, where Ezeli fouled LeBron on a 3, and then Varejao was just a non-factor. I've been questioning his rotation since then. Like, he's a good coach and everything, he knows his players and whatnot, but his decision making is just not good enough for like a head coach, and that's why a lot of people can't put him up there with the Brad Stevens or the Greg Popoviches of the coaching world, because he's always had a team stacked with all-stars or MVP talent type players, so we never really got to see how good he would be if he was coaching a bad team. Like, I'm not sure about his rotations a lot of the times. He's staggering KD and Steph too much, but then their bench can't score because they need one of those guys out there at all times. So then Kerr will play KD and Steph for an entire first quarter, and then they start the second quarter and they can't score because it's just Klay forcing shots. So then the lead's gone and they have to come back and try and win the game again. When if he played Steph maybe 6 minutes with KD at the start of the first quarter and then take Steph out, keep Klay in, and then start the second with Steph and Draymond, they'd probably get a little better offense going at that moment than with Klay. So yeah, I don't know about his rotations a lot of the times. Like, he doesn't seem that concerned about wins and losses for whatever reason. Like, to me, I feel like I'd be more concerned as a coach if the team's struggling more often, but Kerr will just say, oh yeah, we're gonna figure it out later, like, it's good, it's all gonna be fine, everyone's gonna figure their stuff out. But I'm like, this isn't what I expect from a head coach. Like, I expect him to be assertive with the players. Like, everyone needs to be held accountable. They can't just go out there and expect things to flip a switch every single game. Like, they're in deficits more often than not this season because of that reason. So that Kings game that just happened, what happened? They had a 17-point lead going to the fourth, and then the Kings went on a 15-2 run, and they lost the lead. And then KD and Steph had to come back, carry them back to a win, 17-2 run to end the game in the last 4 minutes. Kerr essentially didn't want to win that game for them. Those rotations at the start of the fourth quarter were just too bad. It's too much Klay, and if Klay's not making shots, you're not going to get the win, basically. The Kings are a young, fast team. They play at a high pace, and if the Warriors can't keep up, it's just not a good look. So, for their three-peating efforts this season, I still think they're going to three-peat. I still think they can figure it out, but it's going to be tougher this year than probably any other season they've had. Although they have a bunch of all-stars and they have talented players off the bench to a degree, I think it's going to be tougher, especially if they don't have the first seed in the West, and if the Raptors or the Celtics have a better record than them coming out of the East. That means they're not going to have home court advantage in the finals, which they've never had before. So, I don't know. I'm curious to see how it unfolds. Maybe Klay and Draymond not becoming all-stars will kind of open their eyes and say, hey, let's start doing something else. Let's start figuring this thing out. Because other teams are catching up to the Warriors now. It's not 2015, 2016 when they were just ahead of everyone. This time, teams know how to beat the Warriors. Teams can play the Warriors better than they play themselves these days. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens in the next couple of months. I think the three-peat will happen, but it's going to be tough. What do you guys think? Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.